Hello, I'm with Bev Ehrlich, and Bev is a dream coach. Really interesting, and I can't wait to find out what that means. Bev, what exactly is dream coaching?
So the difference between a fantasy, like winning the lottery, and a dream is that it doesn't matter how many tickets you take to win the lottery, you can't ensure that it will come true, that you'll win the big prize. But with certain steps, with intention, integrity, compassion, action, even a great sense of humor,
Hmm.
you can make any dream come true.
Hmm. Okay, so
And
so
the beautiful thing is that people who live dream come true lives are living happier, longer, more generous, kinder lives.
so a dream is like a more realistic version of a fantasy, or it's kind of two separate
You a
things.
dream is really what matters to you.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be Mother Teresa big. It can be, I just want to spend 5 more minutes a day with my kids.
Hmm.
Or it can be, I want to change the world. It's
Mm.
whatever matters to you and you're willing to take action on it.
Mm. Okay, and then a fantasy is something that you're not willing to take action on.
A fantasy is not always in your control, like winning the lottery.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Not in your control. Cool. That sounds really cool. I actually never have heard someone describe themselves as a dream coach. So it's kind of a cool way to like frame yourself. So I like that. Not in your control. Interesting. So for this podcast, like it's mainly for other coaches, like looking for resources and like and material about how they can grow their business and just hearing from other coaches about how they did it, or like what they're struggling with. So there's a kind of a wide range of things. Um, and so I want to know like what has not worked for you that everyone seems to be saying like works in terms of attracting clients and marketing, and what just doesn't work for you?
I don't see tremendous results from social media. I see a lot of conversation and connection. But what really does work for me is this, the one-on-one,
Mm,
inviting people to a real conversation and getting
yeah.
to know them, creating a connection.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that if people use social media, it's kind of that's just like the surface level of the conversation, and it has to funnel into a one-on-one where you don't get that deep level of connection that's necessary for coaching.
And I think it's like the real deal is connection, and your tools will just magnify. So, for instance, if you're an authentic person, the tools will magnify that.
Hmm.
As Ryan Holiday will say,
I love Ryan Holiday.
if you're selling a crap product, great marketing skills will just help people discover that more quickly.
uh,
And it's the same with inauthenticity or a jealous kind of mindset. If that's what you portray, great, great marketing tools will just help people discover that quicker.
right. So what really matters is like the heart of what you're doing, the service that you're offering, the product, like so to speak.
And
And
not seeing it as like, I offer one thing and it fits all. It's
mhm.
really, I want to hear you. I want to hear what your challenges are, what your struggles are, and then let's see how we can help you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, that's how it works. Is it's like it's customized, but then it's also a little generalized, so you can focus. I mean, it has to be kind of that balance between hyper personalized. That's what coaching is. It's personal feedback, and then to scale, you might need to generalize a little bit just to kind of reach the people that you want to reach. But at the end of the day, it's all about personalized feedback and support. So I like that. Yeah, social media, like it could work, but it has to be. You have to use it in a certain way that kind of ties into your coaching. And I want to ask you, how do you go about setting up these one-on-ones? Is it all virtual, or do you do it mostly in Israel, or like how's it working?
So it's both and. I believe in using the tools of the marketplace, and that's why you and I can connect.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, my preference is for having people in this beautiful room that you can see in the background, but it's not always practical, and the work is just as good if I'm here with you, present with you, listening and tuning into you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like like I know a lot of people like that who prefer to work locally, but like sometimes it's not always practical, like, and you have to kind of use Zoom or something like that to coach someone, or just a phone call.
Especially because I have multiple language skills. So it would be a shame to just keep them in
True.
one place.
Has there been a system or process that you have in place for meeting people, like for setting up these one-on-ones, or is it like,
Excuse
is
me.
it kind of, is it word of mouth, or like what is the driver that sets up these one-on-one conversations?
Okay, so when I started my coaching practice, everybody said to me, you have to network. So I would go to these networking meetings in reality, and people were handing me their cards, but they weren't necessarily making any eye contact. Like, I'm a reflexologist, I'm a masseuse. And I was like, I'm not comfortable here. So I started studying a little bit about masterminds and getting involved in, I don't know if you've heard of Jason Gaynard's community, John Levy. I reached out to them, David Burkus, and I created here in Israel a real live, what's called generous networkers, where I invite 12 people once a month, not necessarily to my home. People are now having them in different cities. And it's a very structured, intimate networking meeting. I will teach some concept that I've learned from some of these four thinkers in the field of networking, in the art of networking. And then the evening will be structured on how to mingle, how to take an interest in other people. And from there, I always invite people to a one-on-one with me.
Wow.
If
Wait,
they so wish.
that's so cool. That's like, because I know someone who does that locally. So I know in New York City, I know someone who has their own kind of network like that. And it seems like it's like their own network where they do it all virtually. It's over the phone. And it's like 20 people show up to the phone conversation like once every other week. And then it's just a way for everyone introduces themselves and like talks. And then and exchanges like referrals and information and stuff like that. But it's the same kind of concept where it's like a generous network. And that's so cool that you set that up, because that's such a good way. That's such a smart way to like not only help like you get business, but also help other people that are in the network.
Right, because for many people, networking can be quite awkward, but we all know that it's hugely important to our lives as well as our careers.
Yeah.
So if you have some kind of structure in place, that's why I actually at this point have kept it real life and not virtual, so that I can get people mixing and
Yep. I always say real life is so underrated in today's age, because
I love that.
everyone's talking about online strategies, online promotion, but neglecting like, hey, like you probably live in a city, like you probably live in an area where there's so many events going on, and or even if you don't, like there's so many ways to meet people in real life, and that leads to much better conversations, much more highly likelihood of closing a deal. And people don't talk about that as much because it's not like scalable or automated or whatever.
Right.
And I want to hear about this is fascinating to me, this generous network group, and I want to like dig deeper into what that is and what the mechanics are of that, because this is going to be very useful for people listening to this, is how you set up that generous network. So first thing I want to know is how often is it again? I think you said once a month.
Once a month, yeah, and there's no commitment to continue for a whole year. You don't sign up for a year. Afterwards, I put people in a common Facebook group.
Cool.
And they can ask each other, I'm looking for, who can help me with, that kind of thing.
Cool.
So there is a community that builds up each time.
Yeah. And then there's referrals that come from the Facebook group. Okay, so got it. So once a month, and then after they show up, you put them in a Facebook group, and then that's continued discussion, conversation. And then so it's at your house, you said?
Sometimes, but no, now people have started offering to host. So I go to different cities.
Oh, okay. So a house or someone else's house?
Yeah, but I'll do all the legwork.
Gotcha. You're the host, but it might be at someone else's house.
Exactly. They might help with bringing people in,
Gotcha. The structure of the event itself. So so once people are in, and we'll talk about how you actually get people in, but once people are in, what's the schedule?
So they come till this particular time. It was free, and everybody was bringing. We had a cheese and wine. It's not like that anymore.
Okay.
They pay a nominal fee, and I bring the food.
Okay, but it started out as a free thing.
Yeah, and then so there's a bit of free mingling, and then, as I say, I'll give what I call content and conversation, a 10-minute little. I'll pick a topic that's connected to networking.
Gotcha.
And I'll let them. It'll be interactive, so that will go for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then people go around the table introducing themselves. They have a limited time of introducing themselves. In fact, they don't introduce themselves anymore. What they do is they I give them 3 questions that they've got to speak to the person next to them, and the person introduces them, because otherwise they tend to just go on and on and on. And all I'm interested in are those 3 questions. What do you want? Why haven't you got it? How can this group help you? So that will be around the table. And then we'll get up and we'll do some mingling, and it will be, it's not always exactly the same. I might say, okay, you've got 2 minutes. What I want you to do is I want you to either share something that's of interest about you. Your partner's not allowed to ask questions. So if I tell you I play the saxophone, you're not allowed to say, oh, I do too. All you can do is ask me questions about myself. It's about showing an interest in the other person. I will do that a couple of times, swapping, where person B has to just be interested, because that is possibly the bottom line when it comes to networking. It's not about me. It's, so what do you do? And
I like that.
Tell me a little bit more about that. And then why am I doing all of this? It's not only to further my career. Part of the dream process is speaking your dream and enrolling others to help you. You need a dream team. We never, ever do anything by ourselves. And in order to create a dream team, you need to know how to speak what it is you want and ask for help. So this is also practice for that.
I got it. It ties into your offering as well, which is really cool. That makes sense. Is like you help, so the people, just so they don't talk too much about themselves, you have them introduce someone else, so it helps them naturally like think about someone else and think in kind of a more generous mindset. And then I've been to a similar meeting, but I like the structure of this even more. But I've been to one where exactly you have to say what you want to the whole group, and then anyone who can help you can come in and then say, "Oh, I can help you with that."
Right. And then wrap up. So when you go around the table, and I might be saying, "This is Matt, and he's looking for an event planner." Then I might say, "Oh, I know one. I also give everybody a piece of paper, a sheet of paper with everybody's name on. So I might write down while you're talking, oh, Matt needs an event planner. I know that." So then afterwards, I encourage people to follow up. And then the wrap up. The wrap up is not, so what did you take away from the evening? The wrap up is, what would you like to see in a year's time? We're opening a bottle of champagne in a year. What are we celebrating? And then that, whatever you said, goes into a follow-up email. And I encourage people within the first week to set up meetings with people, because otherwise enthusiasm has really a half-life. You know, you might leave the meeting all pumped, but if you don't follow up, you don't get into action, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, you need to follow up, and I think it's so cool the way you're following up. So from what I'm hearing, like you follow up and you say like, this is what everyone said, what they want, and you give everyone the contact information so they can reach out. Really cool. This is all tremendously useful. I think people are going to find this really, really valuable, especially people who are more prone to who like to do offline stuff. There's like kind of different personalities and different like things that coaches like to do in terms of marketing, and some prefer offline, some prefer online. This is a great strategy for offline. I want to hear though, like, what do you want? So you're talking about all this dream coaching. What is your dream?
Right. So my dream is really to have a full practice
Mm-hmm.
that's in groups as well as one-on-ones, so that I can really, really help as many people live their dream life. Because I really believe we can change the world one person at a time. And I really see how much happier people are when they live it, when they know that that is in their control. They can do that. You know, so many people live their lives never expressing what they want. We know what we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what do you want?
Yeah.
And how can
Yeah.
the world come together to help you get that?
Gotcha. When you're hosting, like, do you have a limit at 12, or can you like fit many people in there so that there can be like even more, so that you can fill up your practice easier?
Right. So the next meeting is also 12, but we are thinking of changing that. I'm thinking of changing that to expand it. I kept it to 12 because of the awkwardness and uncomfortable level. I wanted people to feel really relaxed and really at ease in a way that, and then they would be, new knowledge and new contacts would be more easily gleaned.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's too overwhelming to think about too many people.
Right, but I'm thinking that
Mm-hmm.
if it's structured, then people will still feel that sense of comfort.
Yeah, I think I think if it's structured, yeah, exactly. Like if you segment like people in the group of like, you know, this only 5 people over here to talk, and then 5 people over here, or the solution might be like if you have like an event every week, and it's like a different set of 12 people every week.
Right.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot to get people.
Yeah.
People to physically come.
Which is my next question. Like, how are you actually? How do people show up? Like, how do you find people?
So that's generally Facebook. The word generous network as a concept is already starting to take a shape. People are starting to hear about it. People are starting to ask me, can they come?
Is it through the Facebook group?
No, not so much. I do advertise in the Facebook group, but on other Facebook platforms as well.
Facebook what?
Platforms as well. Other.
Yeah. Okay. So like sharing your personal page.
Exactly.
Okay. So personal page. Okay. Gotcha. And so, yeah. Okay. So I can see how it can be kind of tricky to get more and more people to show up. Since you know, your personal network is limited. So, it's only people who are in kind of your personal network, and maybe some other people who are seeing it. It seems like the only way to really scale that up is if you start connecting with like a ton of people in Israel who would be interested in going to these things. Like if you friended like 10 people a day or something like that, and then just grew your network there, so more and more people can see it and like become interested.
One of the things that I'm not shy to do,
Mm-hmm.
is I connect to people easily all over the world. And I've had the opportunity to speak to some, as I said, real leaders in the world. And in fact, last week in Tel Aviv, I hosted an international transformational coach with whom I work. And those are all more and more connections, you know.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah. So as long as you're doing that and kind of slowly building up and up, you'll have more connections and more people will show up. So it sounds like you have like a system in place to get more people to your practice, and so you can help more people like fulfill their dreams. All right, so yeah, that sounds great. So thank you so much for sharing all of this information, and I'll be sure to leave the links to all your Facebook groups and pages and website in the post section of this post. And great meeting you, and thanks so much for taking the time.
You too, my pleasure. Thank you.